So, in this part, we look at BrightShine's art. So, what I don't understand is with her absolutely massive library of content and drawings I've seen her make, she gave me 9 to look at. 9! Regardless though, my thoughts on her art generally are the same for most of what she does in these 9. Also with these 9 being the most, I'd like to say, latest arts that represent what she draws, it kind of does show the best parts of her drawings, I guess. Except for animations. She didn't give me any animations to look at, which makes sense, I guess. Like, animations when it comes to BrightShine was not always her strongest asset. It wasn't her primary talent. So I guess she's not at the level yet where she wants to really get it critiqued because she's still trying to, get the basics of learning how it works. So the first I'm looking at is this creature. I don't know who owns this OC. I don't really know what it is, but I do like the creature, the design. So what I've seen BrightShine do a lot is draw her own rendition of the anthropomorphic animal OCs that other people make. Sometimes she makes her own animal OCs, and I like to look at them usually. So I think the line art when she draws these type of creatures are usually just very clean with natural curvatures. That's pretty hard to master, but the degrees of shading is light but noticeable enough that it gives image depth. Because I've seen in the past that when people try the light shading, it's so subtle that you don't really notice it. It doesn't really give the image that much depth. But when she does it, it's always in the exact right spots that I expect it to exist in. And that it's just enough that it gives the image that depth of popping out on the screen, which I enjoy. The one thing I've wondered in the past about BrightShine's drawings is the color palettes, because it's very odd. She can be very unorthodox and experimental with color palettes. Well, sometimes she just literally picks out odd color palettes to experiment with. I know that for this OC, this is the character's color palette, so she didn't pick for this one. It's interesting seeing the color palette she does though. So BrightShine's digital art does many things right, though when it comes to aspirational things, the one thing I would like to see more from her are backgrounds and set pieces. Now, not to say backgrounds have to be in every drawing, obviously. I mean that I don't see that many backgrounds from BrightShine, so I'd like to see more of them, especially set pieces. She does a lot of single character posing drawings where it's just the same angle, the camera angle, and the colored background. Now, not to say that's a bad thing, because sometimes people just give her stuff to draw saying, can you draw my character? So how can you draw 2 characters in the posing if she was just specified to draw only one and it's not even her character? So it's like it's hard to invent another character or something for these characters to do. But that aside, I think she has the talent to draw these type of drawings where the characters are in different poses, because I think it's just interesting to see. When I wrote the script, I did notice that her October is Inktober, but whatever. I did notice that her Inktober drawings actually do these in different ways. Though they're not digital, I think they're really drawn well. So the first drawing is a very well drawn hand. What do you want me to say? It's a very well drawn hand. I love the depth in the shading that gives the hand some 3D perspective, and I know that hands are an absolute nightmare to draw, so props on this one. Very well done. That's all I've got to say about it. It's a nice hand. The second drawing is an interesting concept, albeit a bit cheesy. It looks like the type of image I would expect in a project about bullying and we live in a society, etc. What I do appreciate is the levels of shadings, again, like in the past, with her OC character here. It's really good at conveying the darkness around her, or whatever you could call it. I think she could actually benefit more if she capitalized more on it. But this is I was thinking if she digitalized it, that would be an interesting idea, because obviously this being just a traditional drawing and being an Inktober, she probably did this really quickly. But I thought if this was digitalized, I'd like to see her shrouded in shadows. It's just really capitalizing on the dark fears and anxieties that probably cover this character in this drawing as she observes the mean people, I guess. Drawing 3 shows off her anatomy work, and I really like how BrightShine makes character limbs have this more rounded and curved quality to them. It almost makes the characters look chibi and cute, but not super exaggerated chibi, because I hate super exaggerated chibi, and she doesn't do that, which I like. They're just like still grounded in realistic proportions. So it's just so adorable seeing it. And what I do like about this also is that it avoids it from having the weird, unnaturally long and slender body types I've seen in some other drawings, like DeviantArt characters, where they're like Sonic the Hedgehog levels of really skinny noodle limbs, and it's just horrible when I see that. It's just so bad. So it's good to see her not do that. Though what I don't know is why she doesn't have semi-shading in this one like she does in the other drawing, because in the other drawing she has 2 levels of shading I see. This one is just like really 1 level of shading. But it's done surprisingly well, because it looks like this drawing doesn't need the semi-shading in between. Now, I know I just chastised GV for sometimes just having like really dark shading and sometimes no dark shading. Well, to be honest, I think you get away with it better with thicker outlines, and when your shading is really placed into spots that I think like you would expect it to be. I especially like the poses, because I think it's interesting seeing the different hand gestures that they have behind them. Like this sneaky character especially looks like she's just going to ruin someone's career. So for drawing 4, it's just Glaceon. Yeah, I get it. BrightShine's good at drawing. She made Glaceon look nice. You know, I wonder why she didn't do anything else with this team, because it was Freeze. I mean, like, I wouldn't draw Articuno for the Freeze team, but well, whatever. I think the things good about this drawing is basically stuff I already said. It's a bit odd how the thickness of the ice particles are so thick in comparison to everything else. Maybe it's an aesthetic thing, I don't know. You know, I'm thinking this one probably would have benefited from being a digital art. Like, I would like to see a digital Glaceon one day, maybe. I have mixed opinions about drawing 5. It's such a mixed bag. I like the little details spread across the house with the front lawn and the fence being built, though I do not like the inconsistency in the thickness with the back lawn. The hills just look bad, I think, in comparison to the level of detail that the house is drawn in. And the mountains are even worse, they just look like scribbles. I don't know if this was intentional or due to a lack of time or whatever. Is it minimalism? Because it's like the house is definitely not minimalism. The background is for some reason, but the house isn't. The character is also really out of place, I think. It has this weird art style where it's all shrouded in darkness. Is this meant to convey, is this a symbolic thing? I don't know if it's aesthetic again. I think it just clashes with the overall image. The house itself is the best thing that's drawn here, though I would make the stone out of a bit of a thicker outline. It's a bit inconsistent. For drawing 6, I think this dog is very, very well drawn. And that's it. I think the curvature that BrightShine is so good at is shown in this drawing. I would have liked to see the whole body of the dog, but this is also good. I like the general shape and design of the dog the most. I'm not really a fan of how certain lines are really thick while others are just really thin, but it's so oddly picked. Drawing 7 has some of my same opinions for the first OC I checked out, except this one is a traditional ink drawing. This creature really does look enchanted, as she themed this one around enchanted. The anatomy of the unicorn is so perfect, in my opinion. Like, it's just like the perfect unicorn, and the shading is top notch. Again, there's not a thing I would change here, unlike the other drawing. Drawing 8 is generally the same, except the character does look a bit more fragile, I guess. Though at the same time, it looks more enchanted because it's a dragon. I think dragons are like crazier, more enchanted than unicorns. Is there a ranking for how enchanted animals are? To clear up some things, I don't expect backgrounds and shadings in every drawing ever, obviously. It's just I personally think shading gives a drawing more depth, and a lot of drawings I've seen would benefit with more depth to them. The type of shading used also should fit the aesthetic and the art style. So that's why it's sometimes hard to identify whether a type of shading looks good. Sometimes it sounds like I'm hypocritical, like, oh, this person does harsh shading, this person doesn't do harsh shading, it looks good there, doesn't... Because it's really complicated. I feel like it's kind of a thing you just feel out. If it looks naturally built into the drawing, that's the best thing. I would say backgrounds are really only there to supplement characters to the main focus. So unless they are sometimes the main focus. So they're not always needed, and sometimes less is more, I guess. That being said, what I did say before was that I wanted to see more backgrounds from BrightShine, and that's just because I haven't seen many backgrounds from them. I'd like to see more of them. So there are no more drawings from BrightShine for me to preview. Bit of a shame, because I like seeing like how much she tries to push herself, because I haven't seen any of big stories from BrightShine yet. I think she wrote a novel. Oh no, that was Squid. Like Mythicizer, I think her drawings are the kind I would expect in a visual novel or... So this is another one of my post-credits production parts because I realized I don't really do outros for these videos, so I thought this section would help give some final thoughts, like a more better summary of my conclusions. Out of every art style, when it comes to BrightShine's art style, it's actually my favourite when it comes to the cartoony aesthetic, because I think she nails the blend between the cartoony, chipified style that you sometimes see, but also in realistic proportions, so that it doesn't just look exaggeratedly cartoony and bad, but it doesn't look super realistic. So the mix in between is so adorable. In fact, it's why I actually modeled my current art style after BrightShine's art style. And you can see in my first attempts, are absolutely horrendous. It's garbaggio! Given that in mind, I gotta say, BrightShine, if you're watching this, you know, I really hope you are, because I'm making these videos individually for each person. Thank you. Just thank you so much for being such an inspiration to me. Just a big giant thumbs up.